Tech layoffs absolutely suck, guys. And I'm sure you've seen it in the news. A lot of companies are going through it. And it really sucks because the hiring behavior really changed drastically. People went from job hopping, talking about getting their bag, getting their money, to now talking about layoffs and what their next step is. And what I want to do in this video is really just talk about the impact of a layoff, maybe give you the perspective from a manager side of it. What are they doing? What are they considering? And then really give you some tips and tricks on how to help navigate the layoffs moving forward. So I've been lucky enough to survive 2 layoffs, and one I got out just at the right time, truly out of luck. Usually there's an impact that leadership and the organization just didn't see coming. And really the first wave of that is, yes, you lose the people that you agreed that you're going to lay off, but then you lose a lot of your best talent. And usually the strategy was pretty straightforward. Just cut resources. So if I had 2 QAs, slim it down to 1. If I had multiple product owners, shift it to 1 or 2. If I had multiple leads on a project, give it to 1 lead. You get the point. It was just like, hey, try to do more with less. But that puts a lot of pressure on your employees. So the first thing you're going to see, and you're probably already seeing it now, and the employee's behavior is going to change. You're going to have people who have survivor guilt. You're going to have others who become extremely frustrated. And then you're going to have some people who just complaining in groups. They're just constantly just riffing on leadership doesn't know what to do. This company doesn't know what the F they're doing. They're in a state of negativity. And I'm sure there's somebody you thought about when I made that statement. Even friends who you've worked with closely for a long time, they even might mistreat you. They might ignore your efforts when faced with adversity themselves. Buy high performers because they don't have to deal with the crap. They're the LeBron James of tech. They don't need to stay here. They can take their talents to South Beach. Culture overall is damaged. After a layoff, employees feel less secure and more likely to leave. Now, I will say what's abnormal is productivity usually spikes right after a layoff. But the question is, why is that? And it's very simple. People are scared. If there was a layoff, like I would be scared shitless to try to make sure I'm doing everything I can. Whatever I was like BSing around, I want to make sure there's no more BSing and I'm getting on all my related tasks, all my merge requests, all of my documentation, whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to crank it up too, just because people are scared. And that's really unfortunate because then we have a horrible domino effect. Productivity starts to drop. People start losing trust in leadership. People are more likely to burn out. Impact on diversity. I think the impact on diversity is so interesting because, see, when the economy is good and companies are doing great, diversity is highly prioritized. It's always at the top. But once you are going through a layoff, it's like diversity is thrown out the door. And lastly, you'll see bad PR. You're seeing it with Coinbase, where a lot of people were like, hey, I first got an email saying they were good, they were going to keep me, and then a few weeks later, they were actually, no, we had to rescind offers. To give you info on the Coinbase situation, what I heard was the only reason they had to rescind offers is because they were probably borderline on a layoff trend. And from a business standpoint, management probably looked at it like, do we lay off people who have been here? Or do we just say, hey, I know you were supposed to come here, but things have changed. And since you've never been here, we're going to still give you a severance, but it's easier for me to cut you than to cut somebody who's been here a while. I think that's really what the decision was, and those are still tough decisions. Now, the question people have, do layoffs benefit people? Because when I'm having a conversation with a friend, they're like, how come the company just can't keep people and then like power through it? And the reality is companies are driven by money. Money drives decisions and people are selfish. So I'll leave that how you want to take it. But what I would highly recommend to any engineering leaders watching this is you should treat a layoff as your very last resort. Because yes, in America, it can benefit the organization short term, but layoffs like in Europe, if there's a union, if there's an organization, they might actually cost you money. And what a lot of people don't really tend to notice is layoff never really goes how you think it's going to go. Yes, you want to get rid of these people, but then it's always a little bit more than that. And it's depending on how much more it's what's going to make the layoff experience different for you. Usually you're going to see things like reduce spending before a layoff. You're going to see things like travel cut, perks cut, maybe learning resources. Like I've seen people take away Udemy and LinkedIn Learning, for example. Anything considered non-essential is going to be cut. One thing that I think is interesting that I like to tell you guys is the hiring options are going to change. They might implement a hiring freeze, which means no one can hire. They might disallow backfills, meaning Caleb leaves and hey, who's your backfill for Caleb? Nobody. The work just gets spread across the remaining members. Or they might cut their contractors, depending on the relationship they have with their contractors. That's some organizations literally literally save that to be like, hey, we got a whole bunch of contractors, so we can just cut them all at once if needed. You might see pay cuts to employees. I've seen that at smaller organizations. But really, the best thing I think you can do if you're an employee right now and you've just gone through a layoff is I think what you need to do next is put yourself out there. You need to let people know this is happening to you. And I've been seeing a lot of it on LinkedIn. So first of all, I am hiring my company. I work at Forbes, as you guys didn't know. So let me know if there's any of the roles that you see here that I can help you out with. Number two, I've seen people go on LinkedIn and truly just share their story. I was part of Coinbase. I was part of Klarna, whatever organization that just went through a layoff. People are going on LinkedIn, sharing their stories. And then people on LinkedIn, because people want to help each other, especially if it's not a lot of effort to help you. So if all I have to do is like your post for my network to see it, where you can possibly be a good candidate for somebody else, then you should do that. So my advice to anybody who is going through the layoff right now, update your LinkedIn, hop on Twitter, go on Tech Twitter, go on LinkedIn, have your profile saying open to work. If you're not big on LinkedIn, start building it up, because really nowadays it's not so much about what you know, so much about who knows you. And if they know you, they might know somebody who can help you land your next job. So what I'm really trying to say is you put yourself out there. You are your own brand. Start building it, start promoting it, and I promise you, you'll get through this layoff. Wish you the best of luck. Like I said, I'm hiring. Check me out on LinkedIn, reach out to me on Twitter, and I'll talk to you guys later. Check out.